This is a German soldier during World War II. Now, while the Germans fought all throughout Europe during the Second World War, they fought specifically against the Americans in North Africa, and then Sicily and Italy, before going up against them in France, Belgium, Holland, and finally in their own homeland of Germany. This is a U.S. soldier. Now, while he was in Europe to fight against what this guy was fighting for, in general, he found this guy's stuff to be pretty cool and would take it as a souvenir if he could. For the record, if I had been in World War II, 100% chance I would have been this guy. I love old historic artifacts because artifacts are kind of like links to history that help to tell a larger story. And every once in a while, you get fortunate where you have historical figures who have left us little breadcrumbs and told a little bit of the story themselves. Well, in World War II, we had some of these breadcrumbs that were left to us by soldiers who captured German helmets and then painted them. I am here in the Gettysburg Museum of History, and they have one of the best collections of these painted helmets that you will find anywhere. We're going to take a look at a few of them.
In a previous episode, we talked a little bit about war trophies of the Third Reich, American war trophies. And one of the things that we touched on briefly were trophy helmets. And basically, trophy helmets were American GI artwork on German helmets. And so I wanted to bring out a few more examples of trophy helmets. In the last episode, we saw this one, which is actually a World War I helmet that later became a Allgemein or black SS helmet. It was black all the way around and on the inside. And a member of the 29th Infantry Division got a hold of this helmet somewhere along the way, and he painted battles and places he had been. And that was a common theme on trophy helmets. And it seems that the 29th Infantry Division were really into trophy helmets, and because we have 4 examples here. Now, the 29th Division, of course, are famous for landing on Omaha Beach and fighting through World War II. Most of the ones I've seen are done by about 4 or 5 different artists. You can see a similar theme in most of them. So I've seen other examples that look like this. I've seen other examples that had this motif on it. I actually had one but traded another version of this with the exact same orange-red paint on it and this version. So on this one, this is a little different. It's a 29th Division helmet, but then the guy was transferred, like so many 29th Division soldiers, to the 69th Division. So he actually painted that on as well. That's the 69th Division. And then he put a tribute to some of the casualties in his division that he fought with, probably his regiment or platoon. And he also put the enemy flags, or the German enemy flag there, the Belgian flag, which is where they fought, and England and France, basically the 4 places that they were during World War II. This one is more of a tribute to the places they were at, and they put the swastika up there, and then the D-Day, June 6th. And they have the Germany towns here, the French towns here, the Belgian towns here, and the towns in Holland here that they fought through. And this one, these are Army helmets, but this one is a Luftwaffe helmet. You can see it still has the Luftwaffe decal on there. And again, they painted some of the places they were. And it says 29, let's go. And you see that on some of them. You see it on this one as well.
Here are a few more of the trophy helmets that Erik has in the museum, and as far as artwork goes, this one might be my favorite. So here we have painted on this one, obviously, France 44 to 45. It has the Cross of Lorraine on it. And then if you go over here, well, obviously this was painted at the end of the war because he has VE 5845 on there. And then over on this side has painted World War II. So this guy was painting this helmet at the end of the war as a remembrance to his time in Europe. Let me get that set back. Here's another one that I really like because it has a division that is really, really well known and was just everywhere in the European theater. Okay, so this is the big red one for the 1st Infantry Division, and up here the soldier put all of the places that he had been, where his journey had taken him. So we have England, Scotland, they fought in Africa, they fought in Sicily, they landed on the easy sector of Omaha Beach in France, fought through France, Belgium, Holland, and then ended up in Germany. And this helmet tells that story. These next two helmets are really interesting to me because they tell a little bit more of a story, because they have the names of the individuals who either, I don't know if they did the painting themselves or maybe they had somebody do it for them, but they own the helmet. So this one was to a Corporal John Kesh, and it has his serial number on there. So you could actually go to the archives in St. Louis and look that guy up. And then up here we see everywhere that he had been with the 9th Infantry Division, Africa, Sicily, England, France, Belgium, Germany. And then over here on the side, it gets even more specific, where he leaves a record of some of the major towns that he went through and some of the major areas. So down here you can see Kasserine, Cherbourg. I'm trying to see some others that might be recognizable to people. Munich, he has June 6, 1944 marked on there. And then if we go over here, this is another one. This is another one of my favorite divisions because it has one of my favorite people in it, Teddy Roosevelt Jr. with the 4th Infantry Division. These guys landed on Utah Beach on D-Day, and you can see this is another one of those World War I helmets that got transitioned to a World War II helmet for the German Army. You can see it's a double decal helmet, and this was from Al Michelish. I'm sure I mispronounced that correctly. But anyway, you can see the insignia here for the 4th Infantry Division. So yeah, two helmets that tell a little bit more of a story.
Here's another trophy helmet, and this was done on a Luftwaffe, which is the German air defense. And this is what we call a Gladiator helmet. And this has multiple units. This soldier probably went through several units and had different places he was at. But the unique feature on here is the flags of the Allied nations, and of course the Old Glory there in the middle. Quite beautiful artwork on that one. And you had mentioned that these were probably done during the occupation. Almost all these helmets were painting during the occupational period. And going back to the Big Red One helmet, a lot of the guys in the Big Red One ended up in Berlin. Some of them actually worked at the Nuremberg trial. And this helmet that was painted is very mint. I would say this was an unissued helmet. You can see there's no sweat in the liner. This is a late war M42 German helmet, and it would have originally had no decal on it. So this was just a helmet that was probably in a warehouse or some kind of a barracks or storage facility, and probably never worn by a German soldier, and they painted over that helmet and made it into a trophy helmet. Now, here's a very unusual helmet. Now, this is not a trophy helmet. This is an American helmet, but it has the same motif of having the places the soldier went through during the war. And this guy was in a tank destroyer unit, and he has his initials on here, and his name is actually put in there. This is an early Holly liner, and they were made out of cardboard, pressed paper, and most of them didn't last. So this is a real early war helmet. And you don't see a lot of American helmets with this kind of artwork on it. You'll see the division sometimes painted on there, or in this case a tank destroyer cat. But he did it on the liner, and this is the shell that goes with it. And he did put his initials on there. And the R is most likely for reconnaissance or repair. But they wore these liners sometimes for formations, and they weren't really supposed to do this. So again, this may have been done after the war or something, but it's very, very unusual. You just don't see that. Now, moving forward a little bit, when you get into American helmets from the Vietnam War, you will see this kind of stuff on helmet covers sometimes, and even calendars of when they were going home and other graffiti. But to see it on a World War II helmet is pretty unusual. It's the only one we have in our collection with this kind of artwork, or the towns that he went through and places he went through.
All right, well, those are a few trophy helmets from World War II. Very, very interesting items that you can see right here at the Gettysburg Museum of History, along with tons of other interesting artifacts from different periods in history. You can also go to the Gettysburg Museum of History website, where they have all kinds of information, artifacts, and things like that. So, yeah, little items that tell a big story. Love it.